Today's video dives into the 8 most important updates that every traveler needs to know before their next flight. And I have a feeling you're not going to be too happy about some of them. The first major airline update is that Delta has quietly implemented a solo traveler surcharge on select routes where booking for one passenger now costs significantly more than if you were to book for two passengers. I was shocked when I heard about this, and I thought that it might just be traveler gossip, so I did test it myself. The first random route that I searched on Google Flights ended up showing a $90 price difference per ticket if you book as a solo traveler versus if you book as a couple or a group. Atlanta to Los Angeles costs $249 for one passenger, but only $159 per person when you're booking for two passengers. That's a $90 penalty just for traveling alone. And this isn't a bulk discount or a group savings deal. When you search for 3, 4, or 5 passengers, the price per person stays the same as the two-passenger rate. It's specifically designed to charge solo travelers more, and it's written right into Delta's fare rules for some of their least expensive fares. And while this pricing strategy isn't widespread across all routes, it does seem to affect quite a few one-way domestic routes in the US. This appears to be a new way to target business travelers, who often fly alone and book on company expense accounts. Delta is betting that these business travelers are less price-sensitive than leisure travelers who typically book as couples or families. The problem with this logic is that plenty of leisure travelers, also fly solo. And the bottom line is that Delta is finding new ways to charge different customers different prices for the exact same seat. And solo travelers are unfortunately the ones getting hit with the penalty. Let us know down in the comments if you typically fly solo or with others. I'm flying solo about half the time and then with my partner the other half of the time. So as you can imagine, I am not too happy to find this out about Delta. Which is too bad because I actually really do like Delta. After the news came out about Delta's solo traveler surcharge, it did come out that other airlines like United and American were possibly using the same strategy. It also seems that the solo surcharge has been removed from a lot of these domestic routes with Delta over the last week after they got so much backlash when it was discovered that they were charging this new price. Another change travelers need to know about comes from United Airlines with their new check-in policy. As of June 3rd, 2025, United rolled out a strict new check-in policy where all domestic passengers are required to check in online or in person at the airport at least 45 minutes before their flight's scheduled departure time. If you arrive at the airport to check in person even 1 minute after that 45-minute cutoff, you will not be issued your flight ticket, since apparently even the airline check-in agents cannot override this policy in their system. The good news is that United Airlines check-in still opens 24 hours before your flight's departure, so you have plenty of time to check in online or with the United app before you even head to the airport. The next major change to know is that Southwest Airlines is officially dropping things that made them special. First, after more than 50 years of bags fly free, they're starting to charge for checked luggage. For flights that are booked on or after May 28, 2025, your first checked bag is now going to cost $35, and your second checked bag is going to cost $45. And some Chase card holders are still going to get at least one bag for free. The second major change is that flight credits or travel vouchers that are issued on or after May 28, 2025 will now have expiration dates, which will be either 6 months or 1 year from when they are issued, depending on the fare type that you purchase. Before this change, Southwest credits did not expire, ever, which was pretty awesome. And then in 2026, they're saying goodbye to open seating and moving to assigned seats. So no more lining up in A, B, and C groups hoping for a window seat. Instead, Southwest is moving to assigned seating, and you'll be able to pay extra for more legroom or preferred seats. So now Southwest is looking a lot more like every other airline out there, with the usual fees to match. The fourth change is that you will want to keep up to date on the power bank rules that are rolling out across airlines around the world. A power bank is essentially a portable battery that allows you to charge electronic devices like smartphones, tablets, and laptops on the go. Since a fire broke out on a flight in South Korea in early 2025, airlines worldwide are now restricting power bank use in flight. Some Asian airlines now ban using them during the flight, while others require them to be stored in your personal item under the seat and not be placed in any overhead bins. It looks like the rules are changing in the US as well, with Southwest Airlines being the first to put new power bank restrictions in place. Southwest now says that starting May 2025, you cannot use a portable charger while it's stowed in the overhead bin. It needs to be visible and within reach so that if anything does go wrong, an airline crew member can act fast to keep everyone safe. To be safe, if you are bringing a power bank, pack it in your personal item, not your carry-on suitcase, and definitely not your check-in suitcase. Not allowed. It's a good idea to stick to trusted brands, I personally like Anchor, and to avoid the cheap knockoffs. Then, of course, check the specific rules of the airline that you are flying with in case there are any updates on their power bank policy. The next change that you need to know about is that there are fewer flights that are headed to the US from Canada and Europe. I am definitely feeling the pain of this one as a Canadian. Bookings from Europe to the US are down 10% compared to last summer, and bookings from Canada to the US are down 33%. Few people booking travel to the US has resulted in flight routes being cancelled. Airlines like Lufthansa, British Airways, Air France, KLM, WestJet, and Air Canada are cutting US routes and focusing on Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and the Caribbean instead. This means there are fewer flight options, higher fares, and less flexibility for both international travelers heading to the US and for Americans that are trying to book flights home from their trips abroad. So if you are an American taking an international trip, you might notice that it's a bit more difficult and a bit more expensive to get home. Another change is that United Airlines and JetBlue have partnered up, giving travelers more options and more benefits. Starting this fall, you'll be able to book flights on both airlines through either airline website, earn points and use points on both airlines, and then also get elite benefits when flying with either one. So if you have JetBlue points, you can now use them to buy a flight with United Airlines and vice versa. If you have United points through their Mileage Plus program, you can use them on JetBlue flights. Having airline status from either airline also gives you perks like priority boarding as well as free bags on both airlines. United is getting some of JetBlue's New York JFK airport slots in 2027, so they'll be back at JFK after being gone for years. JetBlue, in return, is also getting some slots at Newark. It's great to see an airline change that's actually going to be positive for travelers. You have more ways to use your points, more flight options, and you keep your airline status when you're flying with either airline. The next change affects travelers to the UK since Americans now need to apply for an ETA before they visit. This is technically a UK government change, but it's in this video on airline changes since the airline is likely now going to ask to see your ETA before letting you board a flight to the UK. This is because the airline that flies you to the UK is going to be responsible for flying you home if you do get denied entry at UK immigration. As of January 8, 2025, US and Canadian citizens, among citizens from many other countries, must apply for an ETA, which stands for Electronic Travel Authorization, online before traveling to the United Kingdom. The ETA currently costs £16, which is about 18 US dollars, and typically gets approved within a few days. It's also going to be valid for multiple trips over 2 years. You are encouraged to download the app to apply, but know that there is an option to apply online without the app on the UK government website. You will need to provide basic information as well as a photo, and typically you'll get approval within a few days. As a side note, the EU's similar system called ETIAS, requiring Americans to apply online and pay a fee before visiting anywhere within the European Union, has been delayed yet again, and it's not going to start until late 2026 at the earliest, so you don't need to worry about that one yet. The next change is a little bit niche, but it is worth knowing since it's a new rule on certain flights that you definitely do not want to break. You can now be fined for standing up before the seatbelt sign goes off on certain flights. Many passengers automatically stand up the moment the plane touches down, even though the seatbelt sign is still on and technically you are not supposed to. And it turns out that the Turkish authorities are not happy about it. They have started issuing fines to passengers who stand up before the seatbelt sign goes off after landing while the plane is taxiing to the gate. It's definitely good to know, since IGA Istanbul Airport is one of the best connected airports in the world, and this rule applies to all flights that are entering the country. It's mandatory for flight attendants to report violations, and the fine can range from hundreds to thousands of dollars. So if you are flying into Turkey, definitely plan to stay seated with your seatbelt on until that sign goes off, no matter how long the plane sits on the tarmac. And whether it's to Turkey or some other destination, One thing that's absolutely essential for any international trip is staying connected from the moment your plane lands. That's why I've partnered with Saily on this video to tell you about their affordable and reliable eSIMs. An eSIM is essentially a digital version of a physical SIM card that's going to let you skip the hassle of hunting for public Wi-Fi or dealing with expensive roaming charges. You just purchase a data plan online before your trip, and it's going to automatically activate so you have access to the internet when you reach your destination. What I love about Saily is that you can choose exactly the data plan you need for your specific trip, whether that's a few days in London or a month exploring Europe. The plans are transparent with no hidden fees, and they're going to work for you in over 200 destinations. Get set up with a Saily eSIM before your next trip by using the link down in the video description, and then also use the code Megan at checkout to get an additional 15% off your purchase. In addition to new airline rules, there have been a ton of changes to the in-flight experience. Some of them are good, and some of them are not so good. Either way, you definitely want to know what's new so you can best prepare for your upcoming flight. I'll link to a video in the description and put it on the screen now where I break down all of the changes and what you can expect on a flight this year for you to watch next. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join Ollie and I back here for more travel tips and hacks each week, and I will see you in that next video soon. Bye.